Verstappen is a four-time Formula One world champion.
After 4 straight seasons carrying the most powerful digit in Formula One, Max Verstappen is about to look different. In 2026, the reigning champion won't be running the iconic number 1 anymore. With Lando Norris set to inherit the world champion's badge, Verstappen won't return to his famous 33 either. Instead, he's switching to an entirely new number, 3. And in F1, numbers aren't just decoration, they're identity.
Just to pick up a number and just pick up that.
Before 2014, drivers didn't get a choice. Numbers were assigned based on the previous season's Constructors' Championship, with the number 13 quietly skipped for superstition. Today, drivers choose their own, with just 2 sacred exceptions. Number 1, reserved exclusively for the reigning world champion, and number 17, permanently retired in honor of Jules Bianchi. Most drivers cling tightly to their number, carrying it from karting all the way to Formula One, and even beyond. But there's a twist. FIA regulations allow drivers to change numbers, provided they get approval and permission from anyone who's used that number in the last 2 seasons. That's how we ended up with situations like Daniel Ricciardo and Verstappen swapping numerical identities. Number 3 has belonged to Daniel Ricciardo for over a decade.
Started my very first go-kart race. We couldn't choose numbers at the time. It was just whatever number they pulled out of a hat, that was ours, and it was number 3.
From the moment permanent driver numbers arrived in Formula One in 2014, that digit became inseparable from the Honey Badger. And fittingly, the origin story is peak Ricciardo. As a kid in karting, he didn't overthink it. He literally pulled the number out of a hat. That same number followed him all the way to F1, where he reintroduced it with a knowing wink to one of his heroes, NASCAR icon Dale Earnhardt, the most famous number 3 of them all.
And at the time, our house number was number 3, so it was like, oh, this is awesome, cool. I was following NASCAR, and Dale Earnhardt was number 3. He was known to have, the black car with the bold 3 on it.
Before long, the number wasn't just on the car, it was Ricciardo. From helmets to merch to the unmistakable DR3 branding, the digit became part of his racing identity. You saw the 3, you thought of Daniel Ricciardo.
You've won the Canadian Grand Prix, well done, your first win. Wow.
But now that number is getting a new owner. For the first time since Ricciardo's departure, the number 3 is returning to the grid, this time in the hands of his former Red Bull teammate and 4-time world champion, Max Verstappen.
Well, my favorite number is 3. I used to always stick a number 3 on everything I was driving or riding. But of course, when I got to Formula 1, Daniel already had number 3. So I was like, well, let's add another 3 and hopefully it adds double luck. And I think it looks quite nice.
With Ricciardo retired and FIA approval granted, Verstappen officially claimed the digit this week. The two shared a garage between 2016 and 2018. And as it turns out, this switch has been on Max's mind for a long time. A subtle change on paper, a massive shift in identity on the grid. Few numbers in modern Formula One carry the weight of number 5. After his 4-year reign as world champion came to an end in 2014 at the hands of Lewis Hamilton, Sebastian Vettel made a deliberate choice. He went back to the number that defined his rise. Number 5, the same digit he carried to his first world title in 2010.
Thank you, boy. Unbelievable. Thank you, I love you.
Sebastian Vettel, you are the world champion! The world champion, well done, enjoy it! You are the man!
The same one that followed him all the way back to his karting successes in 2001. It wasn't nostalgia alone. Vettel was a lifelong admirer of Nigel Mansell, another champion synonymous with the number 5. With that digit appearing again and again throughout his career, the choice felt inevitable.
I'm carrying number 5 because I had a very, very successful year back in 2001 and I had number 5 on my go-kart and won a lot of races. Later on I learned about Nigel Mansell, the red 5. So the 5 just kept popping up here and there everywhere.
For Vettel, 5 wasn't just a number, it was a thread running through every chapter of his story. Then, 3 seasons after Vettel's retirement at the 2025 Australian Grand Prix in Melbourne, number 5 returned to the grid. This time in the hands of a 21-year-old Brazilian rookie, Gabriel Bortoleto. A new name, a new era, and enormous shoes to fill for a number associated with championships and legends. 1 digit, 2 generations, and a number that refuses to fade into history.
A 6 represents Toronto. I just take pride in representing my my home city where I grew up, and that's why I chose.
Just 1 digit higher than 5, but loaded with history, number 6 has quietly passed through 3 very different Formula One stories. When permanent driver numbers arrived in 2014, Nico Rosberg already knew exactly what he wanted. 6 wasn't a branding exercise. It was personal. It was his wife's lucky number, his father's lucky number. And in a sport built on superstition, that mattered. The luck held. In 2016, Rosberg won the Drivers' Championship with number 6 on his Mercedes.
Yes! World champion! Brilliant! Nico, you are world champion.
With 23 wins and a world title in his pocket, Rosberg retired. Job done.
Exactly 34 years after his father, Keke Rosberg, claimed the 1982 title with the same number. Formula One symmetry at its finest. After Rosberg walked away from the sport, number 6 found a new owner in Nicholas Latifi. The reason couldn't have been more different. For Latifi, it wasn't legacy or superstition, it was home. Born and raised in Toronto, he chose the number because the city is famously nicknamed the 6, tied to its 416 and 647 area codes. As Latifi put it, if you're from Toronto, 6 just makes sense. Sometimes a number becomes legendary by accident. That was the case with number 22. When Brawn GP stunned Formula One by arriving on the grid in 2009, their drivers were simply given the highest numbers available. Jenson Button ran with 22. Rubens Barrichello took 23. At the time it meant nothing, just a quirk of the old numbering system. But by the end of the season, number 22 was etched into F1 folklore. Against all odds, Button and Brawn GP completed one of the sport's greatest fairy tales, sweeping both the drivers' and constructors' championships. So when permanent driver numbers were introduced in 2014, Button didn't hesitate. I became world champion in 2009 with number 22, so I have good memories of 22, he said. And I look forward to making new memories. More than a decade later, the number found a new life. In 2021, Yuki Tsunoda brought 22 back to the grid. It wasn't his original plan. Tsunoda had raced with number 11 throughout his karting career, but that number was already taken by Sergio Perez. So instead, he doubled it. Simple, memorable, and meaningful.
The first number I used in the karting, it was 11, but 11 Sergio is using. So I just increased both number, and I used 22.
Number 10 has always carried a certain weight in sport, and in Formula One, its story begins in Japan. Kamui Kobayashi first brought the number to the grid when he made his F1 debut with Toyota in 2009. Aggressive, fearless, and instantly popular with fans, Kobayashi made 10 part of his early F1 identity. So when permanent driver numbers arrived in 2014 and he returned with Caterham, there was never any doubt. He went straight back to number 10. A few years later, the digit found a new owner. When Pierre Gasly arrived in Formula One with Toro Rosso in 2017, number 10 returned once again.
Formula Renault European champion. I was a big fan, I'm still a big fan of Zinedine Zidane. Was number 10 for the national French team, so that's the second reason why I choose this number.
Like many drivers, Gasly's choice traced back to his junior career, but this one came with a cultural twist. The number had followed him to success long before F1, and it also paid tribute to a French sporting icon. I raced with that number in 2013 when I became Formula Renault European champion, Gasly explained. And I was a big fan. I still am a big fan of Zinedine Zidane, who wore number 10 for the French national team. From Japanese fan favourite to French race winner, number 10 proves that some digits transcend motorsport, carrying meaning far beyond the cockpit. When permanent driver numbers arrived in 2014, you might expect the reigning legends of the sport to deliver some deeply symbolic explanation for their choices. Kimi Räikkönen did not. The 2007 world champion settled on number 7 for a reason only Kimi could give. We had to pick up a number, and I just picked up that.
Just, we had to pick up a number and just pick up that.
Classic Iceman. There was logic lurking somewhere. Räikkönen admitted he briefly considered number 6, the number he won his title with, but backed off once he knew Nico Rosberg wanted it.
I mean, there was a chance that I take 6 because I won the championship with it, but I knew that Rosberg won it because his father won the championship with it, and so I just kept what I had, and that's fine for me.
And just like that, number 7 was taken. No ceremony, no meaning, just Kimi. Ironically, that casual decision had consequences. Both Charles Leclerc and Valtteri Bottas wanted number 7 too, forcing them to pivot to 16 and 77 instead.
I actually initially thought I would choose 7, but then I decided actually 7 could be nice. I just like the number. I'm not really superstitious or anything. Initially there was a bit of a plan that I could ride Valtteri.
A shrug from Räikkönen, a ripple effect across the grid. Fast forward to 2025, and number 7 takes on a very different meaning. Jack Doohan chose the digit deliberately for his Alpine debut, wanting something rooted in his racing past. I really wanted to go with a number that I raced with before, Doohan explained in an Alpine social post. That connection traces back to his 2019 season in Euroformula Open, driving for Double R, a team founded fittingly by Kimi Räikkönen and his manager Steve Robertson. The full circle didn't stop there. One of my idols, a super special person and driver, Kimi Räikkönen, also drove with that number, Doohan added. A number chosen by accident, becoming a number chosen with purpose. With number 1 locked away for the reigning world champion, you'd assume number 2 would be one of the most sought-after digits on the grid. Strangely, it isn't. In fact, only 2 drivers have ever chosen it. The first was Stoffel Vandoorne. During his time at McLaren in 2017 and 2018, the Belgian ran with number 2, not for status, but for sentiment. He didn't even pick it himself. It was assigned to him, but that season turned into a breakthrough. Wins, podiums, and momentum. Enough to give the number lasting meaning. Vandoorne kept it beyond Formula 1 too, carrying number 2 into his Formula E career as a reminder of where it all began. Years later, number 2 returned to the grid with Logan Sargent. The American ran the digit during his 1.5 seasons with Williams, again reaching back to his junior career for inspiration. I used to run number 2 in Formula Renault, and I had a pretty good season that year, Sargent said. His first choice? Number 3. But with Daniel Ricciardo already holding it, Sargent went with the next best thing, a number tied to past success. Why not take a winning number from the past and run with it in F1? In a paddock obsessed with symbolism, number 2 remains one of the rarest choices of all, chosen only by drivers who earned their confidence the hard way. Number 1. In Formula 1, it's more than just a digit, it's a symbol of supremacy. Reserved exclusively for the reigning world champion, it's a badge of honor, but not an obligation. Drivers can choose to use it or stick with their usual number, which remains theirs even while one is in play. Sebastian Vettel wore it proudly after his final title in 2013, before reverting to his familiar number 5 for the rest of his career. Lewis Hamilton famously ignored it entirely, keeping his iconic 44 throughout his World Championships post-2014, a number now inseparable from his identity. He did, however, make a rare exception, sporting one on his W09 Mercedes for the 2018 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix as a one-off. Max Verstappen, by contrast, embraced the number 1 fully. After winning his first title in 2021, he declared, "How many times can you do that? I don't know, maybe it's the only time I can in my life. It's the best number out there. So I will definitely put it on the car. He proudly carried it for 4 consecutive seasons, cementing his dominance. Now, the number 1 is set to change hands. For the first time in 4 years, newly crowned world champion Lando Norris will trade his usual number 4 for the champion's badge. It's tradition, it's there for a reason, Norris told Sky Sports News.
It's tradition, it's there for a reason.
All of us as a team that gets to have a role in McLaren or my car will get to wear that with pride. It's all my mechanics, my engineers, everyone that's part of McLaren gets to have that acknowledgement too.
All of us as a team that gets to have a role in, I think, McLaren and my car, will get to wear that with pride, you know? It's all my mechanics, my engineers, everyone that's part of McLaren gets to have that acknowledgement too.
From Vettel to Verstappen to Norris, number 1 remains the ultimate statement in Formula 1. Fleeting, prestigious, and impossible to ignore. If you enjoyed this video, like, subscribe, leave a comment, and stay tuned for more stories that are more than speed.